So I'm Jonathan Stanley. The topic I'd like to discuss with you is whether your practice is hackable. Now, when I was approached with this topic, it was originally a question of, is your website safe? And I think that actually immediately illustrates one of the problems, that we think that security is just a technology question. Security involves people, and if it involves people, then that is where we need to look. We need to look at the entire picture. So I'm changing the topic, and the topic is your practice hackable? So let's ask the question, does anyone here think that their practice is hackable? Couple? 2, 3? So anyone that did not raise your hand, you are part of the problem. If your practice is on the web, it's hackable. If your practice is not on the web, it's hackable. So let's take a look really quick at why we should care about whether our practice is hackable. So first of all, pretty much every major medical legislation that's out there provides pretty severe criminal and civil penalties if your practice is hacked. Not to mention probably devastating effects to your reputation. So the reason why they're so severe is that a patient that has their information exposed, they might experience stigma, they might be embarrassed about it, but more importantly, they might be discriminated against. They might lose their job over it, and they might have severe financial and health penalties, which we'll go into in a little bit later. Secondly, is you can provide better quality of care when your patients trust that you have a secured practice. If they don't trust you, they're not going to provide full disclosure to you, and that's not going to enable you to provide full quality health care. So it's your own interest to make sure that they trust you. 70% of patients care about medical security. 70%. So if you are doing a better job than your competitor at providing a secure environment, more patients are going to trust you and you're going to get more patients. For me, the most important thing is that privacy furthers the existence of a free society. So for all of us that want to be part of a free society, we ought to participate in that, and the way we can participate in it is by doing it ourselves. So this is the equation. Right now, we're going to go in the past and we're going to see how we dropped the ball. 2003, University of Texas, 59,000 students had their identities stolen. 2006, U.S. Veteran Affairs, major breach. 26.5 million members had their information lost, and it was $20 million they had to pay to settle that. 2007, General Electric, major corporation, 650,000 customer records stolen. 2007, this one was huge, 130 million credit cards, debit cards stolen. That cost them $170 million. That one company had to pay that to repair that damage. In 2011, UCLA Health, Los Angeles, a lot of celebrities, they had their patients, had their records being spied on, celebrities had their information being spied on, and they had to pay a $865,000 fine for the employees spying on celebrities. 2013, senior management at SRMC was basically put out an all-staff email that provided more detail than necessary on certain patients' information, and just that alone was enough to lead to a major fine, $275,000. Who here could take a $275,000 hit and not feel it? No hands, good. So we're all here for a reason. Every single one of you are hackable. The status quo, right now, 21 million patients at least have had their information exposed. To kind of delve into a little bit more into that, what exactly happens? The fraudsters that are stealing medical information is actually 50 times more valuable to steal medical information than to steal a social security number. They can gain access to medical benefits, drugs that they would otherwise not have access to. They can defraud private insurers and government entities. The victims, they might have their health information contaminated, their credit scores diminished, legal costs, lawyers, premium costs increased, or they can have their insurance dropped. It is a huge problem, and you have to understand how big of a problem it is. Could you imagine going to the hospital and receiving the wrong treatment because someone that maybe was a drug addict stole your identity, got treatment, and that infected your records, and now you receive the wrong treatment because of that? This is costing, in just the US, $80 billion per year, and it's expected to grow. So over the next 10 years, this will be $1 trillion that we're losing to fraud. So there's a whole picture, but I also want to go a little bit into the background so we can have a basis for you to understand how the internet works, and I think that will give you a lot more insight. So computers work a lot like people work. So if I want to talk to a person, I don't need any special tool. I can just go up to them, connect, and I can speak with them. Computers work the same way. You have two computers, they're connected. That is the most basic network. But suppose we're going to have a little bit more conversation. If I want to talk to more people, I might need a microphone or some device. So that's when we get our first step, which is a switch. That's the equivalent of a megaphone or something like that. This allows multiple computers to talk together. But suppose we want to get a little bit more computers involved or more people involved. We might want a moderator to help guide the conversation. Computers, we have the same thing. You just have a router. And the router is what pretty much everyone has in their home that connects all the devices at your home. So we all are familiar with that. But once it goes into the internet, that's where a lot of people don't realize that it really just is the same thing. You just get more routers, bigger routers, and they just transmit more data. But the thing that you might not realize, so suppose you're right here and you want to send an email. You shoot an email, it goes through your switch, maybe your router, it goes through another router, all these routers that it's going through, you do not own all of those routers. So when that information that you sent in a plain text email is hitting each of these routers that you do not own, someone can pick up that information and steal it. Who is aware of that? Pretty good show of hands, good. So, not only that, when you send an email from your device, typically that's cloned to your cell phone, your tablet, your home computer, your work computer, it's backed up to the cloud, it's backed up to a tape drive or whatever it is. 6 different things can be backed up to in plain text. That can be 6 new places that a fraudster could pick on to grab that information. Then it goes to the other end, it goes to the recipient's machine. Same thing, cell phone, tablet, computer, work computer. Copies of data everywhere. So we have 12 places now, plus all of the routers in queue. So when you send a plain text email across the web, you have a huge, huge risk. It's the digital equivalent of a postcard. By the way, there's a few companies offering secure email. That's pretty much non-existent, so just don't buy it.